Randolph Scott was the kind of man Hollywood rarely sees anymore. Disciplined, dignified, and quietly powerful, both on and off the screen. Born George Randolph Scott on January 23, 1898, in Orange County, Virginia, he grew up in a large Southern family that valued integrity, hard work, and education. His father was a respected textile executive, while his mother was known for her grace and refinement. The second of 7 children, Randolph's upbringing in Charlotte, North Carolina, shaped the moral backbone and calm confidence that later defined his screen persona. He studied at Georgia Tech and the University of North Carolina, initially intending to pursue a business or engineering career like his father. But fate intervened. After serving with distinction in World War I, Scott found himself drawn to the excitement of Hollywood in the early 1920s. With his tall frame, handsome features, and smooth Southern charm, he caught the eye of casting directors, starting humbly as an extra and stuntman before earning small speaking parts. His steady climb came not from arrogance, but from persistence and humility, qualities that became his trademarks. By the 1930s and 1940s, Randolph Scott was a full-fledged Hollywood star. Though he appeared in various genres, it was the Western that cemented his legacy. Films like The Last of the Mohicans, 1936, Western Union, 1941, and The Desperados, 1943, showcased his stoic heroism and quiet moral strength. He embodied a different kind of cowboy, not the loud, brash gunslinger, but a man of integrity who let his actions speak louder than words. In the 1950s, his collaborations with director Bud Boeticher, including 7 Men from Now, Ride Lonesome, and Comanche Station, became defining works of the genre, painting Scott as a man haunted by regrets, but guided by principle. When he retired after Ride the High Country, 1962, he did so on his own terms, gracefully, at the height of his dignity. Away from the cameras, he invested wisely in real estate, becoming one of Hollywood's wealthiest actors, yet he remained modest, grounded, and deeply private. Scott's personal life reflected the same restraint and class as his career. His first marriage in 1936 was to heiress Marion DuPont, daughter of one of America's most powerful industrial families. Despite their glamorous union, the two lived vastly different lives. She devoted to horses and high society, he to acting and the open West. They divorced amicably in 1939, and Marion kept his name until her death decades later. True happiness came in 1944 when Scott married actress Patricia Stillman, a union that lasted over 40 years. Together, they adopted 2 children, Sandra and Christopher, and built a serene home life away from Hollywood's chaos. Their marriage became one of the quiet success stories of the Golden Age, with the couple spending peaceful years between Beverly Hills and their ranch in Santa Barbara, surrounded by horses and family. But behind Randolph, Scott's calm exterior lay one of Hollywood's most enduring feuds, his deep dislike for fellow Western icon John Wayne. While fans saw 2 similar heroes cut from the same rugged cloth, Scott privately despised Wayne. Their differences went beyond acting styles. They were moral and personal. Scott viewed himself as a craftsman who valued subtlety and realism, while he saw Wayne as a loud showman obsessed with image. "He represented everything in Hollywood I didn't admire," Scott once said. Where Scott's characters wrestled with inner conflict and moral complexity, Wayne's swaggering heroes stood for unbending bravado. Scott thought it was all too theatrical, too exaggerated, the salesman's version of the West. Their real-life personalities clashed just as sharply. Scott, a refined Southern gentleman, was soft-spoken and disciplined, while Wayne dominated rooms with bluster, politics, and self-importance. Scott found Wayne's glorification of war and patriotism shallow and hypocritical, especially knowing that Wayne had avoided military service during World War II, something Scott quietly but deeply disapproved of. "I didn't judge men who stayed home," he said, "but I couldn't stomach those who pretended to fight wars on screen after refusing to serve in one." Their tension simmered for years. At Hollywood gatherings, Scott would often leave if Wayne walked in. Their mutual friends, like Gary Cooper and Joel McCrea, tread carefully not to praise one in front of the other. Wayne once insulted Scott by calling him too pretty to play a real cowboy, a jab Scott never forgot. He thought being loud made him authentic, Scott later remarked. "I thought being real meant being quiet." Though Scott never publicly attacked Wayne, his feelings were clear in later interviews. "I respected his success," he admitted, "but I never respected the man." Randolph Scott's quiet disdain for John Wayne became part of Hollywood legend, a reflection of two vastly different philosophies about manhood, heroism, and honor. Scott's brand of masculinity was built on integrity and restraint, while Wayne's thrived on spectacle and ego. In the end, both shaped the Western genre in their own ways. Scott through quiet dignity, Wayne through larger-than-life bravado. But for Randolph Scott, there was never any camaraderie. As he once said with finality, "John Wayne was the last man I'd ride the range with." Randolph Scott passed away in 1987 at the age of 89 from heart and lung ailments, leaving behind a legacy of grace, strength, and timeless integrity. He was laid to rest in Charlotte, North Carolina, beside his beloved wife Patricia, who joined him in 2004. His papers, photographs, and personal memorabilia now rest in the UCLA Library archives, the quiet remains of a man who never needed to shout to be remembered. His voice, his presence, and his code of honor still echo across the cinematic frontier. The mark of a true gentleman cowboy.